Hello and welcome to yet another video. This is the third episode of the story, and a chance meeting leads Naruto Uzumaki to learn Genjutsu. Sure, he lacks talent, but once Naruto sets his mind to something, he will never give up until he completes it, and Naruto will not stop until he is a master of Genjutsu. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Now let's begin. Naruto cherished the prospect of leaving the village. The air was fresher and the sun was shining brightly even though they were walking on a dirt road with no trees, perhaps due to his presence outside. The only negative aspect was that the elderly man they were escorting was unfriendly and discourteous, detesting the presence of a group of punks who had rubber-nosed noses. Kakashi had the opportunity to give Team 7 a shot. Despite his feelings for Tazuna, the bridge builder, he was determined to finish his first C-rank mission and welcome him back home. Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked, pointing to Tazuna's left. What is it, Sakura? Kakashi inquired from behind Tazuna. Is it possible that Shinobi will attack us? Kakashi responded with a blunt response, saying, no. With a stoically serenaded expression, Sakura looked over his shoulders. This mission would require a minimum of B rank if it was guaranteed to be against an enemy ninja. The most unfavorable outcome of our C rank mission is the confrontation with a few bandits. Nevertheless, be alert, comprehend. Sakura responded with a nod. Sensei, I will. While Team 7 was on their journey, Kakashi resumed reading his novel. The events that unfolded didn't go down well with Naruto, who was hesitant to engage in combat with a ninja and explore his true self. Kakashi thinks that if their trip was uninteresting, it was a positive thing. After an hour had passed, Kakashi tucked his book in his pocket. We're going to have lunch now, he said. Following his leadership of the group, Kakashi and Naruto exchanged positions and led them to an open field. Naruto created 4 shadow clones and instructed them to create a perimeter around the group. He took his bag off and started combing through it, taking out a storage scroll. If he hadn't learned how to use the scrolls like Kakashi did, his bag would be filled with everything. After opening the lid on a bowl of rice and meat, he proceeded to eat. One of Naruto's clones exclaimed, "Hey, boss. You can train your sensor even further. I can see beyond my limits." Naruto exclaimed softly, "I hear you. I'll work on it at any time." Is that youngster the same person? Is it possible for you to engage in conversation with him? Tazuna inquired, shifting his glasses to enhance his vision. Sasuke glanced at his food and shook his head before returning to his dish of dried tuna and onigiri with ketchup. The more you learn about Naruto, the more confident you'll become. Naruto chose to look at his clone rather than respond to Sasuke's statement, as he did. Is it possible for you to comprehend my intentions? Naruto's clone consumed. Very well, my boss, you scream. 2 members of Team 7 regrouped around Tazuna and continued their walk after finishing their meals. Naruto's eyes closed and he began to experience a sense of perception as if nothing else had happened. He perceived the chakra signatures of his teammates and, with Tazuna visible, detected a small amount of chakra flowing from his body. The presence of chakra in All life meant that Tazuna would not have developed his own natural reserves. Naruto's eyes widened once more, allowing him to appreciate the world beyond his village. He sighed in relief, his eyes filled with joy, as he moved beyond the hatred of the villagers and the suffering they caused him. His gaze widened from the trees that stood on either side of the dusty road below, to the bright blue, cloudless sky above him. Despite being a ninja, he had to leave the village and undertake missions due to his sadness about leaving his friends behind. He observed Kakashi staring at him, but remained unfazed. If Tazuna was under threat, he would be prepared to react or alert Sakura and Sasuke to protect him from the enemy's attacks. Naruto's spine was shivered as a light fog gradually covered the area, and he eventually found himself in it. After closing his eyes, Naruto detected traces of chakra in the mist and opened his sharp focus. "Kakashi-sensei," Naruto declared. Kakashi inquired, "Do you see the smoky substance?" "Yes, please." "Mr. Tazuna, I want you to remember my words when we agreed to this task. You are obligated to comply with my word and obey my commands. You'll be the first to react if I tell you to go down immediately." Tazuna nodded and wiping his brow. "Don't worry, Kakashi. I am aware that it is necessary for me to survive." After a brief period of inactivity, Tazuna collapsed to his death, but Naruto and the rest of Team 7 stopped moving, causing him to gasp in fear. Kakashi asked, "What do you think?" "Hey, go ahead, tell me what you're doing here." Kakashi identified the individual as a boy with square glasses and light blue hair. He wore a blue pinstripe sweater and black and white camouflage pants. The boy's peculiar behavior was attributed to the giant sword that he had on his back. Holding his collar, the boy said, "Nothing. I was sludge and let my breath out." "You had me worried about a child," Tazuna exclaimed. Naruto said, "Kakashi-sensei," as he hissed. The mist was caused by that child's actions. On the spot, he spun. While being pushed aside by the boy in front of them, Sakura gasped and said, "Sakura, be careful what you do not say." The boy's kunai double attack caused Tazuna to be trapped in place, but Sasuke managed to repel him. During the chaos, Naruto dispatched 3 of his shadow clones to meet the boy, and Sasuke nodded at him when he looked at them. His watch over Tazuna would ensure his safety. As Sasuke charged towards the real boy wielded a kunai, he also launched himself into the fight, just as one sword blow had decimated Naruto's clones. While Sakura was fighting the blue-haired wonder, he had a shadow clone assist him. Despite being grounded for his troubles, Sasuke made a quick recovery and flew through hand seals before unleashing exploding fireballs on the boy. The boy stood unharmed with his sword clasped as the smoke dissipated. The sword was a massive steel sword, similar in size to Naruto's depiction of the boy. Despite the broadsword being too big for it, the boy was not affected and Sasuke fell to the ground before being knocked down by the sword's flat side. The boy's double sword used to keep the number of shadow clones in check, resulting in them struggling and being repeatedly kicked or batted down. I can't stop thinking about it, but Naruto was eager to scream. Genjutsu practitioners were advised by Kurenai to learn the appropriate way to react and dodge attacks. Due to his inability to improve his Genjutsu skills, he was struggling against an innocent boy who seemed uninterested in killing them. He felt better knowing that Sasuke wasn't advancing too quickly, but he was relieved to have the chance to hold his own. He was bound to acquire fighting skills when he returned to the Leaf. The young swordsman's attacks were a thing of the past, but his training was yielding results. The swordsman demanded submission by saying, "Please submit. I just want to take Tazuna with me." "I can't," Naruto declared. "Tazuna is my #1 priority, and I have no choice but to keep him safe." Sasuke said, "Naruto, let us swap." After giving a nod to the real boy, Naruto was left to dodge his slash. His jaw dropped and he bit his lip. It was time to give him a go at one of his Genjutsu fights. While the young swordsman wriggled through a long chain of hand seals, he had to contend with additional shadow clones. Simultaneously, Sasuke was facing more and more challenges with the boy's double life. Sasuke would have been in for a real blow if the boy's movements were to become more and more sluggish, which was fortunate. With a kunai in hand, Sakura was observed by Sasuke in front of Tazuna. "Sakura, be prepared for the upcoming events." After Sakura's unwavering nod, Sasuke fired another blow to the boy. The boy maintained his concentration and prevented the approach from taking place. The boy's sword started to glow bright blue as the flame subsided, but he didn't have enough time to unleash the energy gathered before falling to the ground with a kunai hanging from his back. After the boy fell into a pool of water, Sakura looked shocked and raised one of her hands to reveal it. Naruto was heard telling people, Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke. The true version of that boy, with his jaw clenched. I'm on the verge of completing it. The dispelling of Naruto's last clone occurred just before he could execute the final hand seal of his Genjutsu. Sadly, there was no objective for him to harm, as the boy his clones were opposing was spread out at Kakashi's feet, like a light shining from the sky. Naruto's work was described by Kakashi as a very good one. After hiding in the trees, he seemed to have decided to return at that time. Naruto's hands were left behind after he dropped his weapon. He was almost there, but Kakashi had the moment of his life. What took place? How did your clones assist me in making sense of this boy so quickly? The short work was an understatement. Kakashi had easily defeated the swordsman by the time Naruto's clone had dispersed. Sakura, how are you? Kakashi inquired. When Sakura put her kunai back on its holster, water droplets plummeted from her hands. I'm doing all right, Kakashi-sensei, he said. That's a good point to make. The young swordsman was picked up by Kakashi, who then fell to his knees. You dealt with that boy skillfully and fought back without any issues. Good job, everyone. Sasuke exhibited a grimace and bewilderment. That child was probably not much older than us. According to Kakashi, age is not a barrier in the world of strength. I'm not alone in thinking of ninjas as young as you, but I also believe that they could be more powerful than me. He turned to Tazuna and, when Naruto saw him gazing at the bridge builder, he swallowed up his breath. Tazuna, you never admitted to having ninja chasing you. Would you please explain this to me? Tazuna shook his hands and then adjusted his glasses with a smile. We have a small amount of money in the land of waves, and I'm not trying to be deceitful as I would have preferred higher priority. Kakashi stated that they could have negotiated for a better deal. There are a lot of things you could have traded for money. You made a conscious decision to deceive others about your desires, which jeopardized my sexual integrity. I need to halt this endeavor and bring you back to the leaf. Tazuna's jaw fell off as he chewed on the end of his hand. I said please don't do it. Why am I doing this? She replied. I'm being singled out by a wealthy shipping magnate named Gat. The narrowness of Kakashi's eye was evident. Perform the task without hesitation. Gat, who arrived in our country last year, assumed control of all our shipping companies. He employs his company as a means of engaging in illegal activities such as drug trafficking and blackmail, and anyone who denounces it is defrauded. How did you end up in this? Sakura inquired. I've been working on a bridge that will link the land of waves to the mainland, which is currently under construction. Gat was unhappy and resorted to hiring hitmen to end my life. Kakashi bowed as he spoke. What's your take on this mission? Sasuke muttered, acknowledging that they had already begun. I might as well finish it. My promise is to provide you with my utmost security, Mr. Sakura proclaimed, Tazuna. The mission's complexity was likely to increase as time passed, but Naruto would hate it if Tazuna didn't return home safely. He lied to them, but Gat had assassins working against him. Naruto stated that Gat would not be able to get near him, as he told them. That's all set for now, Kakashi remarked, indicating that it appears to be resolved. We'll bring you back to the land of waves. Following that, you're set to your work. Moving on, let's focus on the present scenario. Tazuna expressed his gratitude by saying, thank you. Thanks to those who came after, Kakashi said, after the mission is over. Kakashi then fastened the swordsman to a tree and sent a messenger bird back to Leaf Village so an ANBU Black Ops squad could retrieve the boy. He also urged for an ANBU squad to come and provide assistance in case of any emergency. In response to Naruto's inquiry, Kakashi stated that the sword-wielding boy would not be left alone in their fight. The arrival of reinforcements was inevitable. After finishing, Tazuna was encircled by Team 7 in a diamond formation as they embarked on their journey into the land of waves. Long story short, the boy who was eliminated by Team 7 was approached by a man with blue hair. "Get up, kid." The boy's expression was heard as he woke up with wide-open eyes. Ao inquired, "Why are you here?" She responded by saying that Lady Terumi was concerned about her and wanted him to come and rescue her. CHJR inquired, "What did you find out about Tazuna, who is being protected by 4 hidden leaf shinobi?" Let me clarify, the copy ninja is one of them. Kakashi Hatake, that's a great name. A Uchiha-like creature was present and there was another. A boy with blonde hair who was familiar to the shadow clone jutsu. Ao removed a kunai and detached the rope that was fastened to CHJR. "That's a really interesting bunch," she said. "Standing up to Kakashi Hatake would make you appear less pitted." CHJR deteriorated as he had not stood up to Kakashi Hatake. Return to headquarters and communicate this development to Lady Terumi. CHJR acknowledged his luck and thanked the people who had aided him during the fight, as it may have resulted in death or destruction of the Hiramakari. "What's your plan?" Ao scowled. "Stop Tazuna and finish the task." After CHJR swallowed a soldier pill and fled, Ao ensured that the body of the ANBU he believed was sent to take his partner. He expected him to fight harder or at least be more observant, but he couldn't let me release CHJR and kidnap him. Ignoring the issue, of course. It made life so much easier for their small group. The misty atmosphere caused Naruto to become paranoid. He realized that his fear was justified, as the only sources of valuable energy were from his team, Tazuna and the ferryman, who was a friend of Tazuma's and helped bring them to the land of waves. From the bow of his ship, Naruto observed the bridge and whined with excitement. "That's a massive bridge," Naruto declared, slightly louder than his preferred sound. The ferry operator yelled out, "Wow, I heard you on that." Naruto's response to the question, "Why would you choose to remain undercover? Would you prefer to be hunted down and killed by Gat? Tazuna's bridge is so cool, I really like that." Naruto was smiled at by Tazuna. "Thanks, kid. The ferry operator has a valid point," Kakashi declared. "Stand still and don't speak too much." The group had spent a considerable amount of time on the boat before reaching the shore, as per their account. The ferryman left after the team and Tazuna disembarked, disappearing into the murky waters. Team 7 resumed the diamond formation but stayed in closer to Tazuna because of thicker fog. Naruto's eyes flickered and shifted from left to right in an uncontrollable motion. His composure was getting too intense, and he was motivated to jump high up whenever a sound came his way. "Naruto, stop that!" Sakura muttered. He would have disregarded Sakura if they had not been involved in a crucial mission. He was aware that they could engage in combat with another ninja at any given moment, so he relaxed his muscles and stopped his chattering teeth. Sakura was rebuked by Naruto, who said, "Sakura, I'm sorry." Naruto experienced a sudden increase in chakra energy as the mist around them intensified. "Kakashi-sensei." Kakashi proceeded to move forward and flash through hand signals. They were shielded by a massive earthen wall that was created, which caused kunai to detonate and crack the wall. "Who's up there?" A voice chimed in, promising to give your group one more chance. "I won't hurt you if you give me your Tazuna, please pass him on." Naruto wasted no time in trying to uncover the source of the voice, and it was one of his clones who witnessed the ninja's presence in the darkness. He remarked on the absence of it. "Kakashi-sensei, the voice is coming from there." With a nod, Kakashi proceeded to move forward. "Good job, Naruto," said the Japanese anime. "The plan is as follows, team. Naruto, we'll have you on our side. Secure Tazuna and send your clones to survey the location of our adversary. In the meantime, Sasuke and I will pursue our adversary." Sakura is assisting Naruto in protecting Tazuna from harm. Several clones were created by Naruto, with some of them wandering into the surrounding forest, while others swam to the lake. He aimed to eliminate the voice's source. After dispelling one of the man's clones, Naruto would track him down and then have Kakashi follow him until the discovery. Kakashi flung a kunai towards the lake and created solitary hand seal, which ignited the tag and released radiance that cleared the mist surrounding it. Naruto came across a man dressed in revealing blue clothing with shark-shaped blue hair, after the light faded. His right eye was safeguarded by an open hatch and he had a talisman on each ear. "I promised you would understand, copy ninja," the man said. "If I didn't know better, I would assume you were a fan. You're not, but you have a pretty good reputation in the Hidden Leaf Village, Iwaburi." Ao expressed his skepticism by saying that, "I don't think it's as big as your reputation. Hatake. In the future, I'll be more attentive to your message." Without turning around, he used his elbow to jab Naruto in the stomach. "I disagree with a man's job, you should not send him to work." After the clone was expelled, Naruto grimaced and held his stomach. Although he wasn't injured, the memory of being hit was unforgettable. "Be cautious," Kakashi warned. As part of the Hidden Mists tracking squads, Ao here was a member of them. He's a proficient hunter, so follow his lead. With his jaw clenched, he ran through the hand seals and remembered the steps to use a genjutsu properly. Concentrate on your chakras and not others. Clear the nine-tailed fox's chakra and perform the illusion. After completing his hand seal combination, Naruto placed his hands in the air and directed his illusion towards Aomori. He was occupied with his fight against Kakashi, so I hope it will be successful. Naruto observed a smile on Ao's face. "Sorry, kid," he said. "I'm not a good candidate for success with Jujutsu, so I expect it won't be effective on me." He kicked Kakashi away by pushing his leg to the side and then threw 3 senbon at the 3 approaching clones. After kicking Sasuke, he skillfully counterpunched and grabbed the Uchiha's outstretched leg before throwing him at the sizable body of water. Sasuke was too high to sink, so Naruto jumped onto the water and pulled him back up. "Sasuke, please take a listen. I've got a game plan." Sasuke inquired if you were the authentic one. Naruto nodded as he spoke. Naruto asked, "What do you want?" with a grunting voice, while looking at Tazuna. To help Sakura out, he left behind 2 clones. Following that, he directed his gaze towards Kakashi, who persisted in fighting Aob. Despite the apparent increased danger caused by his distance, Ao was still proficient in hand-to-hand combat. Kakashi evaded a short-range kunai throw, blocked another Kuban move, and countered Ao's attempt to stab his jugular with biceps before taking the wrist of the experienced ninja and sending clairvoyant chakra through his body. The pace was so rapid that Naruto felt like he was in the middle of something, but had to make an effort. Ao smeared his teeth. Hatake, while not particularly impressive, is still far from being good enough. Ao collapsed into a pool of water. A clone of Naruto found Ao's location and Kakashi picked up his headband. "I can finally witness it once more," Ao muttered. "I'll always remember the last time I engaged in a Sharingan assault." Sasuke yelled with fury. "Naruto, when is the right moment to execute your plan? It's time to move on." Naruto responded to Sasuke's heightened displeasure by creating and expelling a shadow clone, informing his remaining clones about the plan. Okay. Make arrangements for the future." While Naruto and Sasuke were preparing to take down Ao, Kakashi persisted in their fight against the hunter ninjas. According to Naruto, Kakashi was anticipating Ao's attack before it occurred, but when he attempted to use Genjutsu on him, Ao managed to ignore the threat and retreat. Kakashi evaded a kunai attack by coming to the knees in reverse. Ao avoided the leg sweep and obstructed the follow-up roundhouse kick to the side of the head, setting off a smoke bomb. Kakashi opted to dodge Ao's Senbon jabs and punch him under his chin instead of getting distracted by the smoke. Almost touching down, Ao was hit by a FMA shuriken as it flew past him, leaving him on the water's edge. As he dodged another kunai, the veins around his eyeball continued to bulge out. A fireball hit his left side, just beyond his blind spot, and he was taken aback by its suddenness. Sasuke fell to the ground, but Ao threw a pair of Senbon balls that crashed into his shoulders. Ao was hit by Kakashi's fist before he could make a move. Kakashi impeded Ao's recovery by flashing his hand signals. Kakashi was encircled by a massive drop of water, which eventually dispersed into the ocean. Ao was overwhelmed by the massive water rush that Kakashi could handle, causing him to be knocked across the lake. Despite standing upright on the shore, Ao was unable to retrieve a kunai due to his burnt left arm. Before he was bound to the nearby tree, his right hand flashed and launched several Senbon at Kakashi, striking him in various places. Naruto noticed something amiss with Kakashi's chakra while inspecting his body, despite the apparent randomness of the changes. Naruto inquired, "Kakashi-sensei, are you alright?" Nodding was a gesture that Kakashi did. "Don't be anxious about me." Kakashi's difficulty in obtaining the lightning chakra on his kunai was evident to Naruto. He was able to execute the move and launched the kunai. It was suddenly smacked with mist and, when it set in, Ao was gone. He scanned the vicinity with his sensor and witnessed Ao being placed into someone's arms, who had an incredible amount of chakras. Ao's savior was besieged by thick fog, and Naruto attempted to pursue them, but Kakashi prevented him from doing so. "Stay on your feet, Naruto," Kakashi suggested. "This is not typical mist." Naruto's eyes were broad-eyed when he looked at Kakashi. "I can't get over how different it looks to you, Kakashi-sensei." "It's the same thing." "I tossed the kunai," Kakashi inquired. Despite his efforts, Naruto couldn't see through it, and he shook his head instead. The reason why it's being melted so much is that there was no residual material left. Kakashi's head tilted towards Tazuna, who was still being closely watched by Sakura. Kakashi's hysterics made it clear that Naruto had no choice but to go back to Tazuna. He remained relatively calm during the fight with Ao, who was a formidable fighter with keen observation skills. It's not only that the ninja who saved Ao could melt steel, but also other factors. Despite this, Naruto followed Kakashi and his sensei into the woods, crossing the water and heading towards Tazuna and Sakura. At the time of their arrival, Naruto's clones were still watching over Tazuna, and Sakura was tending to Sasuke, who had his arms hanging low. "Naruto, Satsuto!" Sakura shouted with a worried expression. Kakashi nodded and said, "Are you alright?" "We'll be fine." Sasuke inquired, "What's happening?" "That's the question that I want to ask myself," Kakashi declared. Naruto asked, "Where did Ao go?" with his sensor, but Naruto was struggling to find him due to the distance he was in. "I'm at a loss for words." Kakashi's eye flicked back into his trademark grimace. "Good news. Are you feeling up to it?" Tazuna inquired. Kakashi stated that if Ao's partner had decided to fight us, we wouldn't have done it. With precision, he removed all the Senbon and Naruto observed Kakashi's chakra returning to normal. "What's the next step?" Sasuke inquired. Kakashi approached Sasuke and effortlessly removed the Senbon that was stuck in his shoulders. "We're revisiting the hidden leaf." Sasuke rolled his shoulders and Tazuna asked, "What the hell is that?" "We have already made it to this point." Kakashi stated that he would not engage in combat with an S-rank ninja without proper backup. Sakura screamed while covering her hand with her mouth. "Are you an S-rank ninja?" was the answer, as Kakashi confirmed. Naruto's strategy involved adding 2 and 2 together. Ao was saved by a ninja, right? Kakashi-sensei responded. The individual in question is Mei Terumi. Her status as a well-known figure in the Land of Water is due to her possession of 2 Kekii Genkai, which allows her to effortlessly embody 3 chakra natures. She possesses an almost infinite amount of ninjutsu abilities, even before you factor in her ability to melt steel with lava or her acidic mist. Naruto's heart raced through his chest. Even Sasuke appeared pale in Kakashi's eyes, and Tazuna looked like he was about to faint. It's just a matter of being lucky for me. The mission is ongoing, Kakashi declared. We'll take you back to the Hidden Leaf. Naruto's intuition prompted him to leave, as 4 distinct chakra natures were discernible in their location. They were surrounded by 4 masked ninja. After seeing the leaf symbol on their masks, Naruto noticed Kakashi reversing his headband and taking off his Sharingan. "Are you the team I asked for?" Kakashi questioned. "We are," declared the bare-masked Anbu. "What do you want me to do?" Kakashi looked at the Anbu ninja that had arrived before turning his attention back to Team 7 and Tazuna. "Tazuna will be brought to the Land of Waves with us." "What prompted you to change your mind?" Tazuna inquired. "We have the necessary resources," Kakashi declared. "It means we have a fighting chance." "Ao's injury is also a concern, doesn't it?" Naruto inquired. Nodding was a gesture that Kakashi did. "In order to win, Meitarumi. We'll wait for Ao's recovery before coming forward to defend Tazuna." He resorted to the Anbu team. "Stimulator at a range of 50 meters. Our departure is imminent." It was, they said, and then they vanished, beyond the limits of Naruto's range. Sakura and Sasuke were the only ones walking in Team 7, with Naruto and Kakashi trailing behind Tazuna. Despite Ao and Mei not returning for Tazuna, the growing tension persisted in the woods. Missions could be hazardous, as evidenced by this. It was a rather uninspiring moment when his life was at risk and he was no match for anyone else. Kakashi acknowledged Naruto's concern by stating that everything would be fine. "You're going to ask how you managed to walk on water when we've got a safe spot, right?" Naruto nodded. "Yes, Kakashi-sensei is right." While their mission was about to be completed, Naruto had no knowledge of where they were going to stay. "We'll require a place to stay for the time being," Kakashi explained. "That's not a concern for me," Tazuna declared. "You put your life on the line for my benefit, so I'll let you stay at my doorstep. Nevertheless, I'm uncertain if we have enough room for your camouflage buddies." Tazuna was confronted by Bear, who appeared to be wearing a mask. "We'll arrange a place for you to stay, but we're willing to provide assistance if needed." "It's a stroke of luck that you can say." Tazuna then turned his attention to Kakashi. "I'll guide you through it." Tazuna was followed by Team 7 as the Anbu team trailed them in their assigned formation, into the nearby village. Naruto believed that Kakashi could manipulate Team 7 due to their slyness, but even tough killers were following his orders without any resistance. He was more than a distant and unresponsive teacher. Once they arrived at Tazuna's home, a large house located next to Pier, Bear approached Kakashi. "We'll be back in the morning to plan our actions," Bear stated. The Anbu squad was seen disappearing as Kakashi gave a nod. A woman with long black hair, dressed in a red shirt and an ankle-length blue skirt, entered the house. "I'm ecstatic that you made it home safely, father." Kakashi asserted that these were the shinobi who provided protection for you and responded positively. "My name is Kakashi and my teammates include Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura." Tazuna requested that our guests be escorted inside by the tsunami. Kakashi was guided to a bedroom after Tsunami nodded respectfully and showed Team 7 inside. Upon arrival, Kakashi fell to the bed closest to him and landed with a loud noise. Sakura gave a gasp. "Sakura, I'm okay," Kakashi said to Sakura. "Chakra fatigue is the sole cause of exhaustion." As soon as Tsunami left the room, Sasuke looked intently at Kakashi. "Kakashi, can you explain how to acquire a Sharingan?" During my mission, I lost one eye and an Uchiha companion observed me with renewed eyesight. Kakashi demonstrated his protest by raising a hand over Sasuke before he could do anything. I'm in dire need of sleep. Does Naruto have the ability to prevent Kakashi from sleeping? Naruto was about to leave the room and head to the roof when he encountered Tsunami. As Naruto was catching up with Tsunami and the wet cloth that it dropped into, he said incredulously, "I'm sorry." Tsunami held on to Naruto's shoulder to stabilize her. "Naruto, I made a mistake." Naruto nodded and said, "Don't blame yourself. After traveling for a long time, I anticipated that you would feel exhausted. I'm not feeling drained." He smeared his mouth to muzzle a yawn, but his expression was so reserved that he smiled quietly. "In addition, I must keep an eye on the house to prevent Gat's associates from entering." Her feet were firmly planted by Tsunami, who smiled. "If I give Kakashi this cloth, he will be given me a blanket and I'll hand it to him. The ocean's proximity makes it even more frigid at night." Naruto's head was shook by him. "I'm at a loss for words. I am capable of taking care of myself. I would be more interested in having a blanket than Sasuke and Sakura. Nonetheless, I am grateful for your consideration of me. My contentment is unwavering." Tsunami smiled at him again and proceeded to Kakashi's room. Naruto opened his kitchen door to a cup of instant ramen within minutes as he found it. Before the return of Tsunami, he cleared out his rice stocks and added them to the cupboard. Upon returning to the table, he contemplated his conflicts with Ao and the individual collaborating with him. It was a complete shock to his system. His contribution was dependent on his ability to use shadow clones and sense. His taijutsu was not effective and his genjutsu had an unreliable activation time. The level of irritation was so significant that despite his efforts, he still had to depend on Kakashi or Sasuke to make up for his shortcomings. The team's goals were important, but he wasn't necessarily an outcast. Naruto put on his orange sweater and continued to eat his ramen. "I'm not sure why my taijutsu is weak, but—" "Naruto?" Tsunami asked as she returned to the kitchen, giving him a worried look. "I had the impression that you were going to observe our house." "I am aware of it." Naruto's expression was a smile. "Examine the exterior of your dwelling." Tsunami observed Naruto's clone outside the window and noticed him wave to her. "I acknowledge your point, I am aware of what you're saying." She let go and sighed. "If you require anything, don't hesitate to ask for it." Naruto's expression was a smile. "I refuse to do it. I am grateful for your help." Naruto's heart was heavy when Tsunami left the kitchen with another wet cloth in her hand. Is it typical to feel the presence of one's mother? Regardless, Naruto had a vision of striking red hair and violet eyes, but then shook his head. It would be a terrible thing to think about his parents past or who they were. Most of the time, it was too unbearable to endure. The day after, Naruto woke up to find that the sun's bright rays had just hit his eyeballs as they ran dry. Last night, he was extremely tired. He reminisced about how he had made hundreds of clones the previous day and exerted maximum effort by fighting and moving at his fastest pace. It undoubtedly had an effect on his growing figure. Naruto exited his room and went to the bathroom after changing into his gray shirt and orange pants. Kakashi, who was using a crutch to hold him down, stopped him entering before he could do so. Kakashi inquired about Naruto's performance as a guard last night. "Very uninteresting." With a nod, Kakashi proceeded to move forward. "That's a good point to make. Would you be willing to answer a few questions?" "No, not at all." According to Naruto. "I doubt I would." "Alright, that's fine. From where did you gain the knowledge of walking on water, as I recall reading a chakra control book from Shikamaru? Climbing onto a surface using chakra, like holding onto an apple, is recommended in one of the exercises in the book. The next step involves walking on water. It's clear to me that yesterday, I heard something that was on my mind all the time. What was the topic of discussion? Before I attempted to use the Sharingan on Mist Ninja AO, he mentioned that Genjutsu wouldn't work on him. I observed you using the long hand seal combination and thought it was a good idea. Naruto, what is the reason behind using Genjutsu in all the ninja techniques? With his index finger, Kakashi put his chin up, he said. I'm not sure what to say, While it's not a bad idea, you're using it in the wrong way. Naruto smirked. It's incorrect. I learned that hand seals are more effective in regulating the amount of chakra required to perform spells on your adversary. You're correct, Kakashi declared. In the course of attempting to use Genjutsu, your adversary would have either survived or been killed. Your proficiency in using your shadow clones is evident when I observe your Genjutsu maneuvers. Naruto asked Kakashi-sensei, what do you think I should do, and responded with a bit of aggression. Without any prior knowledge, Kakashi was devouring Kurenai's lessons. I'm not assisting Sasuke or Sakura with their training, but I can advise on how to minimize time spent on casting Genjutsu. Naruto stated that it is important to avoid using hand seals in Genjutsu. Isn't this a simple rule to follow? You're a Sharingan. Kakashi bowed as he spoke. It's true, but it doesn't mean I'm not doing Genjutsu. To become an expert in Genjutsu, you'll need to decrease the number of hand seals. If your Genjutsu fails, you'll need to have some type of backup, such as a good Taijuma. It's a subject that requires some improvement. It's fine. After considering the matter, Kakashi finally gave his consent to train and educate him. Alright, you're correct. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto observed Sasuke and Sakura exiting their chamber. We'll have a discussion about it later, Kakashi stated. Naruto nodded and then followed his sensei downstairs to the kitchen. Tsunami greeted her daughter with the greeting, "Good morning," from her seat at the dining room table. She pointed at plates of food. Breakfast is finished, as you can see. As they ate, Kakashi and Naruto found solace in the fact that they didn't have to cook their own meals. Sasuke and Sakura were soon to be accompanied by them, with a rejuvenated appearance after spending an exhausting night of sleep. Kakashi inquired, "Do you think there's a considerable amount of rice?" "I was surprised to learn that I had a considerable amount of extra rice," Tsunami said. Naruto's expression was one of pure happiness, as he smiled. "It was included in my breakfast menu that day. I think this is a great idea." Naruto nodded in agreement as he moved his mouth away from his bowl. Tsunami smiled and said, "I'm glad you like it." Having had her breakfast, she stood up and took her food. After Tsunami left the room, Sakura remarked, "Kakashi-sensei." Kakashi held a piece of rice next to his mask and asked, "Are you capable of winning that S-rank kunoichi?" It slowed down for a brief period. Any ninja can be defeated with the right strategy in team, regardless of their rank. Luckily, we have the opportunity to devise a plan and train you three so that you can survive any potential confrontation with our troops. Opponents. With a smile on her face, Sakura nodded as she did. Then Sasuke also perked up. They received excellent advanced training, but it's hoped that they could acquire the necessary skills to survive and make it back to the Hidden Leaf Village without any trouble. Don't be anxious about the adversary, please. Finishing breakfast is the first step in starting training after you're done. While Sasuke was shoveling his last of the food, Sakura nodded slowly. Upon finishing his meal, Naruto headed to the kitchen. While en route, he ran over a young boy who had on striped white bucket hats with dark green overalls. With a melancholic expression, the boy looked on and quickly avoided Naruto's gaze when he glanced at him. Naruto inquired, "How is everything?" and expressed his desire for a reply. The boy remained silent and proceeded to the dining room. Naruto briefly shrugged and proceeded to enter the kitchen, where he washed the plate and placed it beside the sink. Upon his return to the kitchen, he observed that his team was all set to depart. The boy was also present, silently enjoying his ice-cold breakfast. It was as if his stomach had started to move. He was unable to keep track of the number of times he saw that boy's face. Naruto inquired, "Are we able to go on?" Through his eyes, Kakashi smiled. "They're excited to train with someone. We'll leave the house and go outside." Naruto left Tazuna's house with his team, sparing the young boy from a last-minute glance. Glancing out, the boy observed their departure. "You're going to die," the boy said, before Naruto turned around and proceeded to grimace at his food. Accompanied by Team 7, Naruto navigated his way to a small clearing situated 1 to 2 meters away from Tazuna's dwelling, surrounded by tall trees with foliage that towered over the area. "At the beginning of our task, I'll clarify what chakra is because it corresponds to our plan," Kakashi explained. "The two parts that make up the chakra are called chakras." Naruto was aware of the meaning of chakra, which led him to close his eyes and listen intently while listening to Kakashi's lecture. He opened his eyes wide when he heard Sakura's voice. Kakashi smiled and asked how to learn the proper way to use chakra to form a jutsu. Sakura inquired, scouring for an explanation on the effectiveness of tree climbing. "Can you explain why we should be climbing trees?" Sasuke rested his palm on his forehead. After accumulating chakra around his feet and crutch, Kakashi proceeded to walk up the closest tree until he reached the nearest branch. Naruto was surprised as he crouched and his teammates looked on in surprise. The purpose of this exercise is to acquire the necessary amount of chakra energy to execute the technique. Chakras are channeled through your feet, which is the most challenging part of the body. The channeling of chakra to the feet is easier than directing it to one's hands, as Sasuke pointed out. In fact, it is. Utilizing chakra while traveling is a must for ninjas to enhance their endurance. Once you become accustomed to this, you'll be ready for the next phase of your shinobi training. Kakashi flung 2 kunai at his students, one for Sakura and the other for Sasuke. Express your progress by using these to demonstrate your accomplishments. It's best to start your ascent by running before attempting to ascend the tree. Sakura stated that only 2 kunais, Kakashi-sensei, existed. Kakashi nodded in agreement and chuckled at the question, "How about Naruto?" "Naruto, I request you to demonstrate the tree climbing technique to your teammates." Naruto nodded and walked towards the nearest tree, then strolled up its trunk with a casual nod. Naruto's performance in the exercise left Sakura stunned as he watched him perform it. Despite Naruto's certainty of seeing him walk on water, Sasuke disregarded his gaze. "Naruto, that's all there is to say." Naruto ran down the tree trunk and brought it back to earth, causing Kakashi to return to ground level. Naruto observed 4 masked shinobi making their way towards the house. "Wouldn't Naruto have paused Sakura and Sasuke while I handle the ANBU, or do you mind sharing?" It was a good choice. Naruto observed Sakura and Sasuke attempting to climb the tree with chakra after Kakashi left the clearing. Sasuke rushed to the tree and took 3 steps before leaping off, marking his position. "Excessive number of chakra," Naruto said. "Once you've reached the point where you believe your feet have a good amount of energy, eliminate any remaining energy from your channel. This is a breeze." Sakura exclaimed, smiling. The tree that she climbed and reached was where she chose to sit, sitting on the highest branch. Naruto concealed his surprise before anyone else could perceive it. Sakura's ability to control her chakras on her first try must have been impressive. "Don't stop there, you're done. If you can run up and down the tree for an hour without getting distracted, that means you've done it correctly." As Sakura rubbed her lips, Naruto nodded and proceeded to run down the tree trunk. Sasuke was still trying to complete the exercise, but he was making little headway. Naruto sat cross-legged, with his eyes closed, to watch his teammates and train his sensor ability. He considered it the ultimate combination of both worlds, in his opinion. He had surpassed his teammates for the first time and was going to relish it. In the meantime, Kakashi was walking towards his room with an ANBU that had short blonde hair and a fox-like face. "Do you want me to heal your wounds and replenish your chakra?" Fox asked. Kakashi laid on his futon and then remarked, "Exactly." He had to train if he wanted to be ready. Afterward, you have the opportunity to reunite with your teammates. It was not, as Fox stated. She placed her hands on Kakashi's torso and they started to glow in a healthy green tone. Fox stated that Kakashi's injuries were fortunate and he was grateful. Rather than experiencing minor chakra burns and scattered sunburn wounds, you must be prepared for battle after being fixed up. Kakashi expressed his relief by saying, "That's good. Nevertheless, it is important to rest your soul. Once I've finished the treatment, there's no need to move around." Following Kakashi's hesitant approval, Fox began using the mystical palm jutsu to heal him and guide him towards becoming a better personal trainer. Naruto and his companions spent the day practicing their own exercises. Sakura sprinted up and down one of the tallest trees to improve her endurance and chakra-pushing abilities, while Sasuke made repeated efforts to finish the maneuver. Naruto observed them experiment while pushing his sensor capability to the maximum. He had already increased his senses, but they weren't quite enough. The training he underwent was more challenging than it was worth, as his sensor enabled him to see in all directions and detect chakra signatures. Naruto summoned a shadow clone to subdue Sakura before she could fall. Naruto's clone caused her to fall and collapse on the floor, leaving her panting heavily. After being motionless, the clone expelled her. "Sakura, I request that you come back to the house and take a break. You're running out of energy." Sakura wiped away the sweat from her forehead. "No, I am not. I can continue training. Chakra is a necessary component, and without it, one can't have both. The impact of chakra depletion on a shinobi, as you've observed, is significant." Sakura scowled, but didn't voice her displeasure, and proceeded to walk back into the house. Sakura was observed by Sasuke leaving before he proceeded to exercise. It appeared that Sasuke was about to abandon his plan and return to the house after 10 minutes of almost no progress, even though he could have made it halfway up one of the taller trees. However, he was not. Naruto detected Sakura's return to the house. Before entering, she briefly stopped to give Sasuke a glance. He observed Sasuke's unsuccessful attempt to climb the tree for several minutes and felt him approach him. Naruto inquired, "What is it?" For almost half an hour, Sasuke stared at Naruto. Naruto remarked, "How do you execute this foolish routine in a proper manner? Here's how it works. Take a deep breath and let your mind wander. The exercise will be made more manageable with this step." Sasuke muttered and took a deep breath. He climbed much higher than before to reach the tree he was attempting to climb. After marking his progress, Sasuke pushed off the trunk and gracefully landed on the ground. Naruto was aware that any personal issues he had with Sakura or Sasuke would have to be resolved through mutual efforts. The enemies they were about to confront were so formidable that it would be a death delay for either player to improve. Nevertheless, Naruto assumed that Sasuke would have been uncomplicated in this exercise and would abandon him if he failed. Naruto's belief was that Sasuke would have a smooth journey. That love, that awards, the appreciation. Despite the importance or insignificance of the exercise, he was unaware that Sasuke was willing to sacrifice his body parts for complete fitness. He realized that he was a better person and shinobi because of his willingness to improve. Naruto brought Sasuke, who was weary, into the house and placed him on a couch. He made his way to the dining room, where he observed Kakashi, Sakura, Tazuna, Tsunami, and the boy from earlier. Sasuke is lying on the floor beside her bedside manner. He went beyond the norm. Naruto sat at the table and observed Sakura's departure from the room. Without any hesitation, Naruto began to eat his food. After Sasuke returned with him, she came back and put him on the closest chair, smiling when Sakura heard his hesitant expression of gratitude. Following her seat, she ate with the rest of them in earnest silence. Naruto observed the young boy's abysmal appearance, with his body slumped and acidic. The boy seemed to be longing to see a picture on the wall before leaving the dining room and ascending the stairs. Naruto asked, "Tsunami," in a subdued tone after eating his meal. What was the reason behind Inari's son looking at a picture of his mother on the wall? The husband was retorted by Tsunami. Inari's father was a man of few bloodlines. He wasn't always this way, Tazuna remarked, emphasizing that it was not the case. He was a lively and happy boy, full of life. Inari's dog, Pochi, was taken by bullies one day. When Inari begged for his dog back, they were not given the opportunity to answer. The situation provoked their fury and resulted in Pochi being thrown into the water. Naruto's hands were clasped tightly by his fists. He had a history of dealing with bullies and could envision the consequences. Inari's lack of swimming skills left him frightened as Pochi struggled to stay above the water, unable to contribute anything, Tazuna declared. He was subjected to bullying and ridicule by the bullies, with one exception. Forced him to jump into the water. Naruto smirked. What transpired after Pochi's return to the shore, while Inari was unable to make it? He witnessed the bullies chasing Pochi away as he struggled to stay where they were. Due to their actions, Inari was on the brink of drowning that day. Inari was discovered by my husband at that time, as stated by Tsunami. He jumped into the water and saved Inari from drowning. Before instructing Inari, my husband successfully prosecuted those bullies. They first crossed paths on that day and quickly developed a strong bond. Sakura inquired about the name of her husband. Kaizan. He was a fisherman who always had hope for the best for everyone. He was regarded as a hero after saving some of the villagers from calamity, which increased the confidence of both the locals and people Inari towards him. Nevertheless, they added, "All right, I'm going to repeat the same thing again. The place where Gat arrived was here." Kaiza was killed in front of the entire village, as Tazuna frowned. That day came to a close. Heroes were no longer present on that day. Our village lost the courage and confidence to embark on this day. There was a moment where they didn't speak out loud. This is a heart-wrenching tale. In a murky voice, Sakura spoke at his feet. Nevertheless, she stopped abruptly. "I don't think you have the courage to stop dreaming and believing. The bridge's construction is crucial, as it holds significant value. Kakashi contended that when someone you care about dies, it does not imply that they are in jeopardy. You have a responsibility to remember those who have left you behind, and to do so in the spirit of love." Sasuke stated that a portion of the deceased person's spirit remains within oneself. Kaiza and other individuals can motivate others to pursue their dreams and live in the present. If you neglect to remember the deceased and their significance, they will eventually pass away. Naruto stated that if you have a goal to achieve, it is important to put in all your efforts. Aspired to achieve a dream that is worth pursuing. Is it worth sacrificing one's life for the sake of a certain dream? Thank you very much. Tsunami washed her eyes and let go of any lingering tears. She took the plates of everyone who had eaten and went to clean them up in the kitchen. Tazuna smiled at the team's 7 members before making his way back to his room. Kaiza's actions during the Land of Waves were truly inspiring, but his death was a massive disappointment that Naruto spent moments contemplating for himself. Despite Kaiza's fight for dreams, his death wasn't without consequences. He would be remembered for a long time, and by building the bridge, Tazuna was carrying Kaiza's torch. "Let's take a break," Kakashi suggested. "The task at hand requires more intense training, which means we must now focus on completing this mission." As the rest nodded off, the team ascended to their room, determined to assist Tazuna's vision. On the following day, Kakashi transported Naruto to a different location away from the tree-climbing training area, instructing Sakura and Sasuke to start water walking while being observed by Fox. That day, it was clear and the trees were lit up by the sun, giving the clearing a blue-green glow. Kakashi replied with the phrase, "Naruto, goodbye." He was positioned in front of his pupil. As a beginner in Genjutsu, we can tackle your other concern, which is Taiju's ability. To pinpoint where you're lacking, we'll start with a spar. Naruto's nod was exchanged for a combat-like expression, and he then stood up in resolute support. Kakashi-sensei, can you please come forward and instruct me on how to attack so I can demonstrate my fighting style? With a shrug on his face, Kakashi jabbed at Naruto's face and blocked his punch with his outstretched hand. Naruto's backhand was used to tap Kakashi, who then dropped his fist and jumped over his reverse leg. Although Kakashi wasn't primarily targeting Naruto, he noticed that Naruto's speed, agility, and quickness were much better than when they last battled. The conflict persisted as Naruto repeatedly evaded Kakashi's attacks. He engaged in lunge punching with outside blocks, ducked under roundhouse kicks, and overturned Kakashi's leg sweeps. Despite this, Kakashi discovered a flaw in Naruto's taijutsu style that was reacting to the anime. After Naruto evaded Kakashi's thrust kick and was about to enter his inner guard, he was kicked hard to the ground. Two issues are present in your taijutsu approach, Kakashi explained. Firstly, despite having impressive reflexes, your punching skills are less potent. Your focus on evading attacks has resulted in a lack of strength when it comes to punches. The second issue is that if you fight someone faster than you can manage, they will come at you with more attacks. Naruto ascended and disregarded himself. What actions should I take, Kakashi-sensei? I want you to feel like you're attacking someone. It wouldn't be a problem for you, but after witnessing you fight, it became clear to me that this was not the case. I'm curious as to why you made such a drastic style change. Naruto stated that he had learned that using Genjutsu instead of fighting would be more effective. I can respond to my opponent's attacks and learn how to use Genjutsu in a way that is easy for me. Kakashi inquired, what takes place when you confront someone who has a good command of dispelling Genjutsu? Naruto's silence was considered by him as an answer. Genjutsu is a great way to become proficient in it, but you need something to hold off on if your opponent attempts to beat the sport by failing. Naruto nodded as he spoke. It was a good one for me. That's all said and done. Begin your training with me and bring a shadow clone tag. I challenge you to hit 250 punches with each hand, then execute 100 snap kicks, 100 thrust kick and 100 roundhouse kick for each leg. Naruto nodded and commenced the process of improving his taijutsu shortcomings. In the meantime, Kakashi removed Naruto's clone from the original. I suggest that you enhance your hand seal speed. The speed at which hand seals can be made, regardless of whether it is Genjutsu or ninjutsu, can make all the difference in terms of life or death. Before you proceed, don't hesitate to try a Genjutsu with me. Is it true that Naruto's clone stared at Kakashi? Yes, I do. The clone proceeded through a sequence of hand signals, inserting chakra into Kakashi's chakra system and manipulating the flow of chakras in Kakashi. Kakashi acknowledged Naruto's problem after the Genjutsu was dispersed. You would have been a master of your conjuring up, but there's something that disintegrates the illusion before it'd take hold. With his Sharingan, Kakashi lifted his headband into the air. Re-examine the trick. The clone of Naruto followed suit and utilized the same method as the one used in the last time. Naruto's chakra flow was monitored by Kakashi using his Sharingan. The blue chakra rapidly approached him and penetrated his chakra system, swiftly returning to his brain. Naruto's hands were pierced by a small stream of red chakra that entered Kakashi's chakra network and caused the illusion to dissipate, similar to parasites. This time, I'm going to be utilizing ninjutsu, Kakashi suggested. While Kakashi observed, the clone utilized the transformation jutsu and amassed a blue chakra around its hands. The technique was flawless, even though there was some wasted material due to the red chakra. The clone transformed into Kakashi and then returned to his original state. Kakashi reverted his Sharingan to the side. What's inside you is what your problem is. Casting Genjutsu can be achieved by finding a method that channels the chakra of the nine-tailed fox. Are you able to hear me out? The clone nodded. I had a feeling that it was so. Good. If you work hard on that, your hand seal will also increase quickly. It is important to cast the Genjutsu with minimal chakra and less hand seals. A clone of Naruto made another attempt at using the illusion. When the Nine-Tails chakra attempted to escape, it was forcibly redirected and resulted in Kakashi becoming trapped in an illusion. The clone was given the thumbs up by Kakashi, who then placed his hands inside the Ram seal to dispel the illusion. Naruto's work was described by Kakashi as a very good one. I had a premonition that Sakura would be the one to use Genjutsu, and I always believed it was true. The patinial job was in her hands. It's because of the fact that you are doing it. It's a delightful shock. The clone of Naruto had an attractive appearance. Kakashi-sensei, thank you. It was a positive outcome that Naruto had taken the initiative to improve. The task of improving Naruto's game was assigned to Kakashi. It's possible that he could become proficient in Genjutsu at some point. After 2 days, Naruto was escorting Tazuna to the bridge. Fox was supervising Sasuke and Sakura as they learned how to walk on water, while Bear, Snake, and Cat were training alongside Kakashi at ANBU. During his time in ANBU, Kakashi had been eagerly anticipating the chance to work with his fellow teammate, who was Cat. The revelation that Kakashi was in a relationship with someone else left Naruto surprised, and it took some time for him to comprehend. Naruto was the only one without a break, as his teammates were busy training for hand seal speed and other techniques. Genjutsu made him feel happy, and he was still feeling the same way. He opted to be Tazuna's bodyguard as a way to pass the time. The people on the bridge path were so desperate that Naruto felt his frustration. The edifices were severely impaired and some were on the verge of collapsing. There were people who could barely move, and children with sunken bodies were sleeping in the shadows of dimly lit streets. He scowled. It's much worse than I expected. Tazuna stated that constructing this bridge was necessary because of this reason. Sometimes I feel like I'll lose hope, but seeing the damage Gat did has renewed my determination. The bridge is the key to evading Gat's rule. It's a token of encouragement and bravery. It's the entryway to a more prosperous future, where our land can be nurtured. If I don't, hundreds of innocent people will die. Henceforth, I won't relinquish my motivation. I'll demonstrate to everyone that dreams are immortal. With just one breath left in your body, you can continue to fight for your faith with all your strength. Naruto remained silent and processed Tazuna's words as they made their way to the bridge. It brought to his mind that he was in himself. Naruto never let up when he faced overwhelming hardship or failure, ever. One of Tazuna's assistants approached Naruto when they arrived at the bridge. According to Tazuna, we were sent a letter from an unfamiliar individual. The individual asserted that it was solely for your visual enjoyment. Tazuna read the letter out of an envelope and proceeded to unwrap it. He widened his eyes and frowned once he finished reading, almost abandoning the letter. Mr. Speaker, can you give me the letter? Naruto said. Tazuna, please hear me out. Naruto proceeded to read the letter after Tazuna had finished doing so. Dear Tazuna, your bridge will be reached by me and my friends in 3 days. You might be wondering why I haven't made a last-minute announcement about our arrival. I am of the opinion that we can resolve this situation diplomatically. The purpose of my arrival is to come and negotiate terms with you and your team. You won't be in harm's way for the rest of our discussion, as I aim to negotiate with both parties and find a solution that will bring us both satisfaction. If you do not follow my instructions or come forward with help, I will assume that you are not keen on negotiating. In order to serve your own people and your nation, I urge you to make the appropriate decision." Middleman was Haume Terumi. He greeted with a grimace. "Don't worry, Mr. Tazuna. The ANBU team, myself and my teammates. You can rely on us to keep you safe. Believe it or not." Mei Terumi was pondering Ao's fight against Kakashi Hatake in GAT headquarters, while CHJR wrote about the battle and his report. Tazuna's hiring of ninja from the Hidden Leaf made her think that he was going to be safe, making it more complicated. She had a feeling that she would emerge victorious over Kakashi. Nevertheless, the possibility of getting away unscathed was too great to dismiss, and it would be made worse by the fact that she had to ensure Ao's survival. Her participation in the fight was not a result of this. After becoming Mizukage, it would be more challenging for her to establish a partnership with the Hidden Leaf once they become aware of her involvement in their mission. If she were to eliminate a genin team and the copy ninja, it wouldn't be effective as they were in her way. She instructed her colleagues to strike out, so to speak. Tazuna was the target of their captivity, and they were both capable of avoiding deadly confrontations. She observed Ao approaching her, shaking his heavily covered left arm. Despite their disagreement, Ao remained loyal to her and was undoubtedly helpful. He had a much superior ability to detect and dispel Genjutsu than she did. She had the ability to eliminate them with ease, but it was a slow process. "What's the next step, Lady Terumi?" Ao inquired. Mei inquired about the condition of her arm. "It'll be up and running in a day or two," Ao declared. Mei swung her hands on her lap. "Excellent. What approach would you take to capture Tazuna's essence?" "Instead of using the hidden mist technique to target Tazuna, I'd use a different approach." Mei's expression was questioned as. She raised an eyebrow. "The boy, the blonde one, is responsible for it. I'm pretty sure he's a Uzumaki." Mei stared at Ao before rising from her bed on her cot. In addition to their use of sealing, the Uzumaki clan also possessed advanced sensing capabilities. If the child had learned and developed his sensoromotor skills, how was it possible for them to locate and attack me? I was told by CHJR and myself that he would not be as easily descended. The Shadow Clone Jutsu was only suitable for those with enough chakra, as this Uzumaki child had the ability to use them by the hundreds. With a medical kit in hand, CHJR brought into Mei's room and she smiled at him, causing him to furrow. Despite his lack of confidence, she had become interested in him after witnessing him demonstrate the Hiramakiri. Overall, she made the wise decision to include the young man in her group. "Lady Terumi, are you doing well?" CHJR, for once in your life. Ao reprimanded her. "A woman with such a respectable attitude won't be able to marry, and it's unlikely that you will. When you reach old age and are lonely, I don't want to be like you. In your early 20s, have you never tied the knot? In your later years do not have a significant other?" Mei responded with resolute smile. Her voice was colder than ice, though. "Shut up, folks. Will I kill you?" Ao reacted with a deep sigh, as he always did when Mei threatened him. He should have realized that any man on earth would be able to marry her. "We must make arrangements to confront Hatake and his team of geniuses." Mei stated that the issue at hand isn't solely with them, she added. "Are you aware of the ANBU squad that joined them?" Ao asked. "I was correct. I had to use an ANBU before I could save CHJR. It's conceivable that they were associated. Are you responsible for his death?" Mei inquired. "I couldn't stop him from taking a pill, so I let him have his life," Ao said. "Despite the fact that he was not alive, I couldn't perform a complete autopsy due to time constraints. I am aware of it." The safety of CHJR was of greater significance. CHJR placed the case on Mei's bed and then asked if they could come to a compromise. The Hidden Mist did not have medical ninja like the medical corps of the Hidden Leaf, which is why every dandy had to undergo first aid training. "I've sent a letter, but I don't think they have the ability to negotiate," Mei said. If she didn't make a valiant effort, there was no way to accomplish anything. "It's not like that." CHJR aided AO to lie on the bed and start taking off his bandages, willingly handling AO's barbs with care. "It's unclear if we can deceive them into thinking that Tazuna is no longer with us or, in some cases, make them believe otherwise." While CHJR was treating his burns, O snorted and inhaled deeply before breathing in. "I would like to imagine Tazuna in a state of false death. With the money we receive from GAT, we can start to revive Tazuna and move forward." Mei's expression was one of pure happiness. "It's a good idea, but we still have to beat back the guards of Tazuna. Our proposal won't be well received by them. We will have to use all our resources to fight them if we are forced to do so." With a smile on his face, CHJR showed her sharp teeth as he put new bandages on AO's shoulder. "Don't worry, Lady Terumi. I'll make every effort to do my best." AO nodded in agreement. She said, "Lady Terumi, let us handle the rest." "It's a stroke of luck that you can say." Mei greeted the blue-haired swordsman with a warm smile. He was always dependable, and she appreciated him for being present with her. She demanded so much from him that he would become an ordinary person like the copy ninja's novices. "CHJR, you must feel proud of yourself. You demonstrated great courage by scouting Tazuna's guards." CHJR's entire face was shaded in a red hue. "Thanks, Lady Terumi. Say mama, do you see that Lady Terumi needs rest?" After AO took CHJR out, Mei placed the medical kit underneath her bed frame. She appreciated that AO and CHJR were willing to go the extra mile with her. The future of their village would be ensured by loyalty. Despite the irony, she was not deterred by it. In order to restore her village and country to its former glory, she would have to terminate the one genuine chance at salvation in the land of waves. CHJR's suggestion was enticing, but she recognized that it wouldn't be straightforward if she followed through with it. She had a plan to capture Tazuna and determine the fate of him after his captivity, but Gat was as unpredictable as she was clever. His money would disappear with him if he sniffed out any type of deception. While it was a risky proposition to betray him, the money he offered was too valuable for her to miss out on. The choice was evident if she had to choose between the prosperity of her community or the destruction of another nation. She had made mistakes for reasons other than her own self in the past. In the event of a worst-case scenario, she may be able to provide assistance to the land of waves. In any case, she chose this path and would follow it until the end. The mission's consequences would require her to cope with it as much as she could. Naruto had not received Mei Terumi's letter for 2 days. Upon receiving the letter, Kakashi brought the ANBU and Team 7 together and quickly devised a plan to fight Mei and her group with minimal casualties. The plan appeared to be successful, but it required all their combined efforts to achieve the top spot. It was fortunate that Naruto had lowered the number of hand seals necessary for his illusions and increased his hand speed. His taijutsu was getting better as Kakashi began to train him. He had a mentality about how to merge Genjutsu with taijuma, and now was closer to realizing that idea. Kakashi responded to Naruto's suggestion by stating that it would definitely make you more dangerous. While training with the ANBU, Kakashi had managed to keep track of his students, and Team 7's strength had increased. During dinner at Tazuna's place, Team 7 maintained a positive outlook and didn't worry about what the next day might bring. Regrettably, Inari's anger was not the only thing he had experienced. He paid no attention to his concerns that Team 7 would just die. He didn't want them to die and spend their lives for a lost cause, his only goal was to show them that their resistance was pointless. Despite his efforts, he was unresponsive and proceeded to his bed after finishing his meal in the dining room. Naruto observed Inari's departure, but he didn't attempt to prevent him from leaving. The only thing they could do for him now was to release Gat's choking grip on the land of waves. Tsunami pleaded that if you hurt your son, I'll bite my tongue. Her son was abducted by two men who were standing on the bridge adjacent to her house. The man with brown hair, tattooed on his left arm and an eye patch above his right eye, grinned and tightened his grip on Inari's neck. The man's spouse remarked in a disinterested tone, "Don't waste any time," and the man was still talking. His attire consisted of a black hat, gray jacket, and beige pants. "We can only rely on one. Instead of her, take her if she wants to surrender herself. It's all good and okay, I'm just fine." Inari attempted to break free from the man's grip and stepped on his foot. He didn't fall down. A child who is unintelligent may be expressing their lack of interest. "It's not your right to do that." He tossed Inari during the tsunami. A loud thud was heard as he landed in front of her. According to the man in the jacket, he was not telling the truth and only wanted you to come with him calmly. "Leave the kiddos behind, bro. You don't have to suffer any physical pain." The man was met with Inari's gaze as he stood up. "I'm not going to hurt my mom, but I'll protect her with 2 arms." Waraji's expression was a cruel and melancholic look. Zri, with happiness. He swung his katana onto it and let go, producing a forceful punch. As Tsunami fell to the ground, she held her son tightly as blood gushed from her nearly detached torso. Tears streamed down Inari's eyes as he stared blankly at Waraji. "What's the matter with you, kid?" Waraji questioned. Zri suggested that if you were to keep your mouth shut, there is a possibility of your mother still being alive. Hunched over Tsunami's prone form, Inari crumpled to his knees. "I'll never forgive you for this." Inari's wailing was heard as he charged at him. With the expertise of a professional swordsman, Zri unleashed his katana. As his jacket was sprayed with blood, he grimaced and watched as the boy fell to the ground. Zri turned in a 180-degree turn. "Let's not hold back and let nothing be the case." Waraji's neglect caused Zri to scowl. I expressed, "Let's go." Zri observed the disintegration of Tsunami and Inari's bodies into petals of cherry blossom upon turning. A strong gust of wind carried the petals all around as they multiplied by the second. Waraji asked, "What's going on?" "Let me tell you," a disembodied voice whispered as the petals wrapped around the 2 thugs. "You scumbags were trying to kill innocent people. You thought that was okay, didn't you?" Zri and Waraji tried to remove the petals, but they were unable to do so. Unusual. The pair experienced the impact of heavy objects on their backs, and then their throats were cut by a kunai knife. The petals vanished to reveal Naruto, who witnessed the thugs clutching their bleeding throats in desperate measures to save their lives. Naruto had to witness the thugs' disbelief transform into fear as their eyes dimmed and they fell to the ground. The hands were still tied around their throats, bloody and red. Naruto dragged Zri and Waraji's bodies into the water and witnessed them sink, then gazed at the house. They will be safe now. Before he collapsed into a heap of smoke, Naruto made sure there was at least one more clone present in the house. Naruto trembled as he was brought to his knees with an overwhelming amount of memories. He sensed a tightening of his stomach and took deep, troubling breath. It was necessary for him to consider the positive aspects, such as ensuring that the Tsunami and Inari were not at risk. They were never at risk and the only peril they faced had been addressed. "Naruto, keep your eyes peeled," Kakashi urged. Naruto nodded and remained composed as he led his team and the ANBU squad to the bridge. Upon reaching the unfinished bridge, they observed Ao and the blue-haired swordsman standing next to a woman with long auburn hair tied in tiaras wearing lace dresses. Her chakra reserves were incredible, exceeding his, and her chakra signature had 3 distinct chakra types blending together. The individual who rescued Ouch was the one. Mei Terumi was the one in question. In a commanding manner, Mei inquired, "Where can Tazuna be found?" Surprisingly, it brought to Naruto's attention that Kurenai was known for speaking in a certain way. "He is not present," Kakashi declared. Safe in his home, he was watched by Naruto's clone. Mei made a frown. "I'm not sure if you want to talk, so I assume you don't have any interest in bargaining." According to Kakashi, Tazuna instructed him to act as his supplicant. "Whatever you say, you can tell us anything about it." She stepped forward, leading to the Leaf's ninjas feeling more coerced than before. "Very well suited. I aim to impersonate Tazuna. I have no intention of killing him. If I have what I require, he will be safely sent back to his village. Do you have any reservations about this? How can we ensure that you'll keep your side of the bargain?" Kakashi questioned. "You've observed how CHJR and AO fought against you. I advised them to refrain from launching deadly attacks if they were to confront anyone aiding in the rescue of Tazuna. I am solely focused on completing the task for which I was given, and your departure is unnecessary." Kakashi's stillness was comparable to that of a statue. Kakashi had informed them about this when they came up with their plan. "It's something I hold dear to my heart. If Gat were to discover Tazuna's survival, would he be willing to go back to the land of waves?" Mei didn't answer. "We have reached a standstill," Kakashi declared. "We cannot let Tazuna go. You leave me with no other option, if that's the case." As Team 7 and the ANBU squad got ready, Mei maneuvered through hand seals. Kakashi was present to erect an earth wall to safeguard the others from being submerged by a massive water dragon that swirled around the bridge. After lowering the wall, Kakashi told, "You know what I'm doing." Due to the mist that covered the bridge, the 8-leaf shinobi separated into 2 groups. Fox stopped Sakura as she was chasing her teammates. The ANBU advised Sakura not to forget the plan. She moved toward Sakura. "I'm the doctor, but I don't have the financial means to hurt myself and waste valuable chakra healing time. If my teammates require aid, I must do it for them. We're the last resort, don't you think?" Sakura smiled at Fox. As soon as Sakura and Sasuke began training with Naruto, Fox assured them that he was well-intentioned. Naruto suggests that Fox had a liking for Sakura, too. In any case, they had to find a way to isolate Mei from AO and CHJR so that they could all fight together. While Sakura and Fox were watching the fights, Snake had gone to confront AO and prevented him from attacking Kakashi. AO gave Snake a half-smile. "Assuming I took you out, though. Did you pretend to die to avoid a fight like the Snake did?" "Last time, I was careless." He had not seen AO until after he was killed. He fortunately consumed a death-defying tobacco vapor and threw AO to his death, otherwise, he would have been killed. Despite the circumstances, AO was not punching him and instead went on a deadly rampage. "I'll ensure that you don't regret your actions." AO countered with a kunai and cautiously avoided Bear's punch. Kakashi's information reveals that AO had the ability to predict his opponent's attacks and react accordingly. AO's eyesight was insufficient to prevent him from being on the receiving end, as he was forced to weave around strikes that were both sharp and blunt, taking striking swipes. Snake was kicked out of the way and AO raised his hand, sending a few thick Senbon rounds to Bear that caused the ANBU to fall to the bridge's ground. After throwing a few shuriken at Ouch, Snake put an end to his tantrum. AO grunted and closed the gap after avoiding Snake's throat while swinging around the throwing stars. The ANBU sent earthen spikes towards AO, but AOU was able to jump onto the first spike and use it to launch himself into high air above the others. Despite the challenge of grappling with Bear's rising shoulder tackle, AO managed to land safely and use his spinning skills to counter Snake's tant attack with a kunai. AO's kunai throwing towards the Bear made him frown. It hit a section of the bridge, not the entire one, as he thought it would. After grabbing 2 kunai, the hunter ninja shook his head and began to prevent, subdue, and sidestep a group of shuriken. He sped off after Snake and attempted to stanch his heart, but then took a quick stab to the shoulder when the ANBU observed AO's disappearance. Bear and Snake reunited, leaving Snake to take his place. The kunai in his shoulder was tightly gripped to his handle, causing him immense pain, but he still remembered his training with monkeys. If the kunai were to be removed, it would only serve to make matters worse for him. AO was almost crushed when Bear delivered a massive blow that knocked his ribs to the ground. AO stepped down, and the ANBU got ready to face the next round of battle. He strained his muscles while running towards Bear. Despite the relentless barrage of punches, Bear was gradually losing momentum as AO lost control of the situation. Just before being ripped apart with 2 vertical strikes, he replaced himself with a log, but his attempt to catch AO off guard was unsuccessful as the mist ninja curled up and crept away from the attack. Non-fatal strikes. AO went missing and then reappeared next to Snake, using his kunai to cut off his entire torso. Snake veered off to the side, but managed to disarm AO by grinding his teeth and then unleashed his tantrum. Snake launched again before AO could halt the attack with his usual speed. He kept wailing his sword repeatedly, leaving AO with little room to defend as Bear approached from behind. "You've made a grave error, ANBU," AO declared. The deep fog was created by AO's use of a kunai to push his tant upwards. He was initially confused, but his reaction changed to horror when he saw Bear's hand outstretched and heard the sound of several kunai impaling his armored body with a terrifying squelching jolt. Bear exclaimed, "Snake!" Fox screamed, "Get out of here," and quickly ran over to Snake's whereabouts, placing her hands around his head. AO was attacked by Bear, who roared and put up his boots. The snake stumbled and collapsed to the ground on its knee. Various areas of his body were filled with blood that flowed through the rivulets. "I shouldn't have let my emotions control me, right?" he asked. Snake was compelled by her to lie on the bridge. "Just let me do the work, you'll be fine." As she tended to Snake's extensive wounds, the fox had bright green hands and began to glow. She began to tighten her grip as she continued to tend to her partner's injuries. "I'm sorry, Snake. You have been through a lot of pain. In relation to a particular object. Insignificant matters. I neglected to remember my obligation. I'm not a person who seeks to get back at those who have wronged me. I am a soldier fighting for the people of my village. The realization dawned on me when I forgot my only purpose in life. I couldn't cheat death like I did before." He had come to an end by saying, "This is the end for me." He wore his mask, which was good because he didn't want her to see his eyes. Fox yelled, "Snake! Snake!" She cried out loud to AO, but then remembered what had happened to Snake. It was imperative that she maintained her concentration. She had a goal to achieve. Keep your attention on the task. Upon arriving at Fox, Sakura was confronted by Fox and gasping for air when she saw the deceased ANBU. What occurred to him? "It's not something I'm not used to," she said. Sakura states that being a shinobi is just one of the many aspects. We stare at death and, if we're lucky, live another day. If we don't, we cherish the knowledge that our lives were sacrificed for the betterment of our community. The shinobi follows that path. As Sakura ingested it, she proceeded to grab a kunai and hold it with both hands. She didn't need words to show her determination to fight until the very end. CHJR used his sword and heaved to block the cat-masked ANBU's katana, which subsequently was pushed away. The Uchiha boy was unable to sneak up and slay CHJR, so the blue-haired swordsman spun around and used his sword to drive him off before long, forcing him to slide along the bridge. The Uchiha held his ribs tightly and stood up, resuming his position. "Are you alright, Sasuke?" was the question asked by Kat. "I'm doing fine," Sasuke declared. CHJR had readied himself for another battle, and this time, there was no need to restrain Sasuke, who regained his speed. With its dark blue color and squirting tail, the Hiramakari was under his control. The reserves of both Hiramakari and Ao and Lady Terumi were combined to create a week's worth of chakra. The Hiramakari was being utilized to pump as much chakra as he could. The ANBU's swift and powerful strikes were the only reason he didn't lose to them, as it kept him mentally alert. "I think you're pretty good," Kat said, referring to how young she is. Despite his age, he was still one of the 7 swordsmen in the Hidden Mist. Lady Terumi required him to win more than just that. As she sprinted towards CHJR, the ANBU's purple hair flowered through the wind and managed to avoid colliding with the Hiramakari. The ground was shattered by the concrete below, causing chunks of concrete to fly and scatter. With her katana, she struck him on the ribs, but CHJR gave her little grin as he gracefully dodged the weapon and flew away, landing safely on his feet a considerable distance from the fighters. CHJR managed to push Sasuke away with the Hiramakari's blunt side, causing him to land in a crouch alongside Kat. CHJR transformed the blue energy in the Hiramakari into a massive hammer. By using his sword, he was able to manipulate the shape of the Hiramakari's chakra and fulfill his current needs. Sasuke waited for CHJR to finish hitting him with the Hiramakari, but then asked what his next move would be. "He's even more formidable now." Sasuke was met with a grimace from Kat, who appeared to be far away from the Uchiha. "Thanks to your Sharingan, you'll probably be able to compensate for the boy's increased strength." Sasuke's eyes flickered. "What did you express?" "Just have faith in me, Kat." After nodding and gathering a kunai, Sasuke engaged with CHJR. He could perceive the change in Sasuke's eyes, which turned red with one black tomo in one eye and 2 in the other. Kakashi Hatake, who was not a Uchiha warrior, had already become one of the most notorious ninjas in the elemental nations due to his possession of only one Sharingan. CHJR couldn't let Sasuke take advantage of his clan's ocular jutsu, even though he had just opened the door for him. Nevertheless, CHJR's swings were not affected by their speed, and Sasuke was much more skilled at handling them. As Sasuke turned to rest, the wind blew in front of his face. He managed to flee from CHJR's forceful swing and lunge forward to cut through his guard. He held back his sword and then proceeded to grab Sasuke's forearm before throwing him towards the bridge floor with his weaker hand. Gasping and quickly holding up his sword to prevent Kat's aerial katana slash, he crouched down to leverage the ANBU. CHJR pushed Kat away and raised the Hiramakari, which began to extend until it sparkled like a beacon. "It's a good thing we are so far away from the rest. I am now able to unleash this without any hesitation." CHJR slammed it onto the ground and unleashed a shockwave of pure energy that rippled and shot towards his opponents, splitting the floor beneath. The attack struck Sasuke hard on his right side, causing him to jump up and down. Sasuke stumbled through various hand seals, ultimately arriving at the tiger seal. After jumping high above the shockwave, Kat's katana was moved circularly and created an odd afterimage. CHJR repurposed the Hiramakari as a shield to defend against the fireball jutsu, but he let go 1 to 2 seconds early and suffered ill-healthy shoulder bleeding after being hit by Kat. His sword remained in his grasp. Kat charged towards the blue-haired swordsman and jumped up. CHJR raised the Hiramakari to safety, but he reached no ground. CHJR had only a few seconds to counter Kat's attack, but luckily, his right flank was penetrated instead of his diaphragm. After regaining control of her katana, Kat returned with a final punch, but CHJR kicked her away and used the Hiramakari's longsword form to slice through her body. CHJR's eyes caught the unrecognizable face of Kat, who was left with a hard crunch after falling overturned. With his fist dilated, Sasuke made sure that his arm, which was cut in various places, was secure. Sasuke, Kat's younger half-brother, cautioned that a log is never too difficult. Despite coughing, Sasuke smiled and continued to move. I refuse to do it. Due to Mei's tendency to target him and his clones, Naruto was facing difficulties. His dread of experiencing burning to death was intensifying due to the sensation that his skin had shrunk. Mei's facial expression was so pleasant that he could swear she had a perpetual grin on her face. After escaping a burst of lava, Kakashi fled behind, but Mei managed to keep him at bay with her acidic mist. He assured Kurenai that he would remain secure on a C-rank mission, but the prospect of confronting such opulent men early on in her career did not come to mind. Kakashi drew his hand to create a lightning-shaped hound after successfully evading another lava bullet. The hound then springs back and charges towards Mei, its body electrocuted by lightning. Mei breached through hand seals again and built a wall of water. Mei employed additional hand seals to transform her water wall into a water vortex that convected towards them, ultimately resulting in the hound's demise. Kakashi slammed his hands on the ground, causing the concrete to rise and merge with a wall that was as wide as the vortex. Kakashi's hands flashed instead of dropping, and Naruto observed him pushing the wall forward. Before it reached Mei, a wave of lava was released from her mouth and melted. Mei was attacked by a group of Naruto's clones that emerged from the wall, but they were defeated when she struck her palms together, crushing all of their copies. "Naruto, I'm on my signal," Kakashi stated. Naruto nodded as he spoke. It was time to apply his training. Naruto's attention was directed towards Kakashi when he raised his hand. After twirling 9 hand seals, he unleashed his Genjutsu. Simultaneously, Kakashi executed his own hand seal combination. Upon completion, Naruto created additional clones and instructed them to charge at Meru. Mei's smile remained unchanged as she let her chakra pulse before casting a water dragon at them. She promptly created a fire dragon to accompany the water dragon and transformed the concrete bridge into mud, propelling it towards her foes. While circling and twisting around the water dragon, the fire dragon transformed some of the mud into tar as it tore through the earth wall that Kakashi had built. Naruto witnessed Mei using her own sensor to flush out Kakashi's chakra. In a matter of seconds, she had dispelled his Genjutsu, but Kakashi had foreseen it. They simply needed to make her believe that everything was the same, and they had made an effort to widen the gap between them. Sensory perception was lost, as Kakashi, who was an odd mix of burnt, soaked, and muddy, charged towards her, thrusting a blue energy ball at her stomach. Mei's grin transformed into a sharp grimace and she harnessed the energy of the earth to fortify her inner being. Despite the Rasengan's attack, Mei was only left with a partially torn dress and dreadful burn under her slightly exposed breasts, rather than having her organs completely destroyed or shrived. Holding her stomach tightly, she fell to the ground and blinked in surprise. Upon his return to Naruto's side, Kakashi breathed deeply in the air. Naruto inquired about the jutsu and asked, "What was that?" Kakashi referred to it as the Rasengan. The 4th Hokage's signature attack is what makes it so memorable. Naruto's eyes erupted in excitement. It's no wonder that Mei had gone down so swiftly. It's also a positive thing. Despite the attacks, they still found an injured individual. Kakashi was like a strange mix of burnt, waterlogged, and dirty, while Naruto was still covered in mud with badly stained clothes. Mei would have to work their way through, but if she had the right tools, they were still strong. She controlled the speed at which they were moving so easily during their fight, which Naruto only realized after reliving the details of the altercation. Mei got up and inhaled deeply. Using her sleeve to wipe her mouth, she coughed out blood. "Kakashi Hatake, it was a fascinating decision. I was on the verge of being tackled by you and your little teammate. Regrettably, I am not as susceptible to falling down quickly. But not when I'm fighting for something that I have faith in." While rescuing himself from the murky, black river, Naruto contemplated how his Genjutsu had been effective. Kakashi's absence would have hindered his progress on Mei, but his success was a source of happiness. What is the purpose of your endeavor to abduct Tazuna, Naruto? I'm putting in effort for it, Mei declared. After finishing the mission, I will be given money to reconstruct my village, which has been devastated by years of war and violence. The Bloody Mist is the name given to the moon. Kakashi chimed in, whispering. Kakashi and Naruto were distracted by Mei, who used his sensor to detect Ao's overwhelming strength while fighting 3 ANBU simultaneously. I am not one who lives for combat, but rather to improve the quality of life in my community, and I will do anything to support it. In my opinion, the authentic path of the shinobi is to prioritize your village and its prospects over your own desires. It feels like I'm about to reach the end of this, and if that ends well, I can go back to the hidden mist. I am confident that I can improve my village if I have the means to do so. According to Naruto, Tazuna has a dream. The reason he's building this bridge is to create a new future for his country, and I'm just trying to see through the gap. You're thinking, you want to kill Tazuna before you can fulfill your dream, Mei sighed. It is something I am familiar with. I aim to capture Tazuna, but if I have to kill him, I will not. The world we inhabit is a harsh reality, and it's unfortunate. Her stern expression had turned into a frown. We are able to survive by taking the lives of others. Ninjas advance by destroying their dreams, which are already achievable. This is a moral quandary, but one I've come to terms with. Without fighting for this dream, children younger than you will be left in agony, wondering why they were born in such a terrible place. Naruto's eyes were fixed on Kakashi, wishing for him to recuperate. During the planning process, Kakashi had expressed his desire to win a fight as soon as possible. He had replicated numerous techniques with his Sharingan to have the ability to use it against any opponent. He was his most formidable opponent, a man with both stamina and the ability to threaten his life. Why didn't you consider partnering with Tazuna instead? You could have made a deal with him to receive payment from his bridge, rather than just working for Gat. Whatever your plans were, the trade that would pass through the land of waves could be funded. Mei stated that working for Gat was the most suitable choice for him during that period. After spending several years in the mist and fighting against the Mizukage, I was able to learn how to kill all sorts of shinobi with relative ease. Gat would compensate me with 500 million Ri by compensating me for using those skills. It was clear that you had the ability to kill him, Kakashi explained. As for you, there's no such thing. As expected, that's accurate. Despite her efforts to avoid violence, Mei was dismayed when they refused to negotiate with her and chose to abandon any peaceful means and used all available force to achieve her goal. Was being a shinobi an inevitable consequence of being made to sacrifice your innocence and joy for the sake of your village? Although it was far from what Naruto had expected, he did raise kunai and hold it with great care. With his muscles in agony and his body ablaze, he was determined to fight for Tazuna's life. Mei had some remaining chakra, but she was having difficulty staying awake. The Rasengan proved to be more damaging for her than he anticipated, but she was still willing to fight. Her hand-seal combination resulted in an alarming accumulation of chakras. Naruto had already recorded the noise of a man's voice before she could release it. A man thumped his cane on the ground and asked, "TSK. What's up?" He donned a black business suit and looked at them while wearing sunglasses with black lenses. Mei kept her gaze fixed on them while asking, "What are you up to, Gat?" When she dropped her hands, the chakra she had gathered returned to her body. "I believed you could assassinate a basic carpenter more efficiently than Zabuza Momochi would. Your strength was doubted by me when you returned to my headquarters with all your team members injured. I decided to leave you alone and give you another opportunity, but it seems like I made a mistake. Your appearance is worse than before. Did you hope Tazuna survived?" Mei's head tilted in the direction of Gat. "You asked me to check up, did you? Have faith in me?" Gat suggested that one could imagine it as a hand from above. Gat told the group of loners behind him, if you were not able to defeat a bunch of third-rate ninjas, I'd send my guys here and clean up the mess, in reference to his own actions. If you were going to betray me in the beginning, why aren't you giving me the mission? Mei asked, barely calming her fury. It was a wise business decision in terms of its economic implications. Nevertheless, I conducted some research. Did you know that the Mizukage is no longer alive? If there was no one to lead me and only a small number of shinobi, I could settle down in the land of water without any fear of losing my mind. This backwater country is not as good for business as this, and it would be a much better opportunity. The cost of 500 million ri is almost too high for anything less than the best. Regrettably, you are not. Mei's serene smile made Naruto feel uneasy. Gat, you betrayed me first and then again when you did. It's surprising that you're not a ninja. Your ruthless conduct would make you a desirable candidate for our team. However, if you were an insincere coward, you would probably be sent to jail. Her gaze was directed towards Kakashi and Naruto, catching some glimpses of joy. My mission has been cancelled by my fair benefactor, so I have no grounds to challenge you. Afterward, she made her way towards Gat, maintaining eye contact with the shipping magnate as though she was in perfect health as she strolled along the bridge. As Mei's killing ambition drew near, Gat began to stagger backwards. Mei's presence was felt across the bridge in a thick fog. Gat made a tentative attempt to blend in with the crowd of hired thugs, but Mei managed to maneuver through the chaos without anyone being aware. He eventually found himself at the bridge's edge, where he observed Mei persistently coming towards him. Gat responded with, "I take it back." Gat was stopped by Mei, who put a finger on his mouth and said, "I'll pay you twice if you do it." "You're not entitled to any other opinion at this time," Mei whispered. "It'll be over in no time." Mei extended her hand towards the mist, making it difficult to see through the fog. Everyone on the bridge heard a terrifying scream from Gat, and when the mist lifted, Gator's body appeared to be dreadfully unrecognizable. The individual's hair had vanished, his skin had completely melted, and there was only a fingernail mark on his mouth. Mei was nowhere to be found. "We've lost our money," shouted one of the thugs in jest. Another thug shouted, "That bitch was the culprit. She didn't just run away, she also acted like a coward." "There she goes," shouted the third thug, looking at Mayer. She had climbed up from under the bridge. She had the ability to remain out of sight, but she couldn't keep her distance from his sensor. Naruto stated to Mei, "They're coming for you." Mei nodded as if to acknowledge the situation. "I understand, but I have no motive to fight them and it would be a waste of time to take their lives." "Are you truly a Uzumaki?" "Which means there aren't many shinobi in that category." When Naruto utilized his sensor ability to examine the chakra of the thugs, he discovered that none of them had any special chakra reserves. No one of them had a chakra reserve that was more extensive than Sakura's level. Naruto asked, "Why do you think I'm worthy of being an Uzumaki?" with a clipped voice. "I had whirlpool residents in my family." With a tearful demeanor, Mei looked on. "My family was connected to the Uzumaki clan. Prior to Whirlpool's downfall, they were at least in their prime." Naruto looked at the thugs and then returned to Mero. This would be a breeze when compared to the difficulty of fighting Mei. "Don't worry, I'll handle them for you. Believe it or not. It seems to me that you can. The struggle to achieve a dream and improve the future is something you understand. If you persist in doing that, you'll thrive in our world." A cyclone of water caused her disappearance. Eventually, Mei reappeared beside the ANBU and whispered to her partner. "AO, we've ceased any conflict with them." CHJR's body was suspended over her shoulder as she held the Hiramakari in her hand. "We'll be going away on vacation." Presently, AO escorted the Hiramakari from Mei. He was inhaling heavily and had multiple cuts that differed in severity. "Why are we departing, Lady Terumi?" The ANBU was about to engage the pair, but Kakashi followed them. Kakashi reassured that they were no longer in conflict with him, carefully watching the bloodied Sasuke and Sakura, who was hovering over her teammate as she watched Tazuna fall to his death. "Stand with your back to yourself." Fox inquired about the process of releasing them. "They committed the murder of our colleague." "Of course, you were the one who caused this," Mei stated. "I manipulated his colleague into killing him," Eo declared. When Mei's face began to darken, he sighed. "Is it true that I won't be forced to apologize?" Mei looked at Kakashi with a frown upon Eo. "I'll say it again and again, if you ask me. My teammates and I are no longer under GAT's employment, therefore I have no grounds to oppose you or anyone affiliated with you." Naruto was uncertain about the outcome. Even if Mei was injured, they couldn't afford to fight her. "I'll let you decide, Kakashi," Fox finally replied, still holding on to her tantrum. "I made the wrong decision," Bear declared. "I've learned to avoid decisions that will be regrettable, just like my experience. I'll grant you permission to leave now. As I transition into my role as Mizukage, I pledge to do everything in my power to fortify the village and come up with solutions that will be beneficial to all of us," Mei declared. If Naruto had been present, he would have taken her promise. Whenever she wasn't fighting, she was justifiable and always talked about making peaceful choices. Nevertheless, he was just a novice. The most experienced ninja in their team was Kakashi, who led the way. "All right," Kakashi declared. "I will hold you to that and inform our Hokage about the possible deal." She nodded in agreement. "I am grateful for your help, which is why I say, thank you. I extend my apologies to Tazuna." She turned to face Ao. "Let's go home, okay?" Ao nodded and they departed without delay. Once that was over, Naruto looked to the thugs and considered his chances. A thug shouted, "Why are we standing here when we could have ransacked the village?" Naruto stated that he would give you one opportunity. "Please leave now, or I won't be able to protect you." "Are you telling the truth?" he asked the same thug. Naruto started to create different hand caps by forming, "What are you going to do, cry at us?" While Naruto was advancing towards his most potent genjutsu with hand seals, he noticed that the thugs were fully equipped and held their weapons long enough to last for some time. "He's only a young boy." The thugs cheered and ran, but it was already too late. "You have to have been listening." As Naruto disappeared, a multitude of blades emerged from the battlefield of blades and were concealed on the bridge's surface. From swords and knives to naginata, scimitar, and so on, each had its own unique weapon. All at once, a multitude of Naruto copies appeared and took hold of the weapons, freeing them from their concrete enclosure. Despite being intimidated by this, the thugs eventually became assertive and began to fight. Throughout the fight, they came to the understanding that cutting Naruto's clones multiple times would not have stopped them from attacking. The Naruto they attacked did not cause any significant harm, as the character would regenerate his limbs, reattach his head or torso, and behave as though the attack was a mere wrist wage. As the thugs watched, their compatriots were stabbed, slashed, beheaded, and severed by Naruto's army, while blood ran down the world. The Genjutsu was finally unleashed by Naruto when the thugs became disoriented and lost their motivation. A few of them stumbled, looking like they were intoxicated, and Naruto had to intervene before they fell off the bridge. Their followers were increasingly trailed by the remaining thugs, who discovered that there was only one Naruto book left. In spite of this, the majority of the bullies made a quick escape, tripping over themselves to avoid the shinobi who easily subsided. Some of them were crushed when they tried to flee, while others stayed put after hearing one of the thugs call out. It was just a trick. The remaining gang members cheered and ranted, but the arrival of Kakashi and the 3 ANBU put an end to their actions. Kakashi stated that he would leave and never return. A few of the thugs seemed to be on board with Kakashi's command, but the others held firm until they heard a noise from behind. As Inari led the group of villagers towards the bulls, he shouted, "This isn't your country to do what you want." The remaining thugs were aware that they would face death if they continued to resist. The combination of Naruto's gruesome genjutsu and their realization led them to make the decision. "Let's get out of here." The dwarves turned and dashed across the bridge, swimming to their boats and leaving the country for good. After the event, the bridge was illuminated by the sun, which cleared the fog from the land and signaled a new beginning for the land of waves. Despite the distance, it was impossible to see a shinobi on the water leaving the area and disappearing before they could be found. The Hokage, a man with dark complexion and light blonde hair, was seen in Hidden Cloud Village attired with muscular features and raised an eyebrow as one of his top scouts entered his office. "What are you up to?" he asked. "I have information that you may find interesting, especially as the Chunin selection exams are approaching," the scout stated. The Hokage simply reclined in his seat. The scout asked, "What is this genin that you would like to know what it did?" "It's true, I think he should be included in our bingo book." The Hokage snorted deeply. "Should I contemplate doing something like that if it was truly remarkable?" Upon hearing about the genin's actions in the land of waves, the Hokage looked on and gave a smirk. "Upon hearing about something like this, I was moved to say, I have not heard anything else. Our plan seems to be heading towards the hidden village in the leaves for the next exam, where we can evaluate the genin's performance." Omake Naruto was the only one left and May departed, leaving him alone to face Gat's band of bandits. He initiated the flow of water through hand infusions, uttering a powerful spell. "My sword is like a bone in my hand. As I am, demons are trapped inside of me and chakra flows through my blood. I've never felt pain in my life. No one ever brought me down. Nevertheless, I'm still struggling to achieve what I want. And I know there are still more challenges to come." With a fleeting smile, Naruto sent his chakra to the group of bandits with the final hand seal, "Unlimited Blade Works." They were confined to a world of hundreds of blades that could not be ignored. The blades were suddenly seized from their earthen sheath by numerous Naruto copies. Naruto's clones charged and attacked, without being harmed by the bandits. They mercilessly used their blades to attack, stabbing, and thrusting them. The deserted wasteland and dark orange sky were filled with the screams of the dead, as they entered the realm of eternal sunset and boundless weapons. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Support the original author by clicking their profile link in the pinned comment of the first video of this series. They deserve the love. Want early access and exclusive content? Join my Patreon community, link below. Your support fuels these videos. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay entertained, stay safe.